Alright guys, whenever you're building these wiring harnesses, these cables to run in a location, you want to pay attention whenever you lay it out and measure it. You want to pay attention to how it's running, how it's positioned, and how it wants to go, how it wants to be positioned. See, I know that this terminal right here is going up on top of the capacitor bank, and then it comes off and goes down, and then it's going to go over like this and connect to my ground. So I want to position my terminal down here with everything else in position so that the shape will be right, and whenever I go to install this, the terminal won't be wanting to flop sideways, and if I have to flip it, it won't be causing the cable to like twist up in a weird way. It'll make it just want to lay where I want it to lay by default. Paying attention to where how those lugs are turned and stuff is a big deal when it comes to laying this stuff out. Guys, if you want a good wire crimper to do lugs, this Temco crimper right here is all that in a bag of chips. I mean, it is on fire. I love this thing. But a tip I'll give you, whenever you set it up to use it, get a piece of nice squishy cable and set it under the handle on the back side. Because if you don't, the handle will slide around like this and it can make it unstable. So if it can slide out from under it when you're pressing it. You put a piece of cable underneath it and it makes it nice and sturdy down here, and it don't go flying around doing weird stuff. So, and there's a marker, there's a thing on here to set it to alt gauge and whatnot. There's a little line. I don't use that anymore. I give up on that because I just do it by eye, and I'll show you what I mean. So I got my wire and I figured out how it's running. It's running like this, and so this wire is going to turn like this. So I want to put my lug on here this way, this being the top. These lugs are really, really tight to get on here, so it might be messy. And we'll give her a good spin, get it all the way up on there as far as she'll go, and that's the top. And then I want to check again just to make sure. So I know that's coming off of there, and the wire's going to set like this. Okay, so that's how we want it right there, right? And I always cut my insulation back just a little bit further so I know I'm getting the wire all the way up in the lug. I will carefully slide it in here, turning the hump or the top toward this end. So I want the crimp to be on the bottom. This little pokey bill is going to poke in the bottom. You'll see when I get done. I may have to adjust the pressure on the first crimp. No, it feels like it's going to be an easy one. So then, that's a really light crimp. Let me dig it in now. Get some much better crimping action going on. That's a little better. And you only need to do one, but bear in mind that I'm crazy, so I take it on down and I do two, and I do them until I get it tight enough to where I'm happy. And when you get done, you got a nice crimp. This one has a little curl, but I can fix that. I'll make that curl go away. Got to get it right in the right spot. There we go. Now, see, we got a really nice crimp. It's nice and smooth down here, and it's really smooth and nice on the top. So when we put our heat shrink on here, it'll look really clean. That's why I said I love these crimpers. See? Now, don't those look nice? Look how clean they are. That crimper's awesome. The bottoms, everything super clean. Totally on point. Now, I'm going to show you something else. Whenever you're again working a shape, right? See, I know I want this to come off of the capacitor and then bend down like that. So whenever you're wanting something to happen that's pretty serious, like a hard bend, whenever you put your heat shrink on there, be sure you've got the wire bent hard in that shape as you're applying the heat, and then it'll help to keep it in that shape after you're done. Let me show you. I mean, it's not foolproof, don't get me wrong. This is some lightweight heat shrink too. The heavier, thicker stuff is better, but so I want this wire to come out and go down like this at a pretty hard angle, right? So I get it in that position and then just kind of fight it like this, right? Now, keep it in that position as it cools off, and it'll tend to stay stuck that way, because now this side of the insulation is a little bit shorter than this side, so it'll kind of hold it in position. You got to pay attention in playing your runs, man. You can do some pretty cool stuff if you do. See, I wanted those wires to come off, dive down quickly so they wouldn't be in front of the amplifier, and dive back in here so they wouldn't be getting in between the super cap and the seat whenever I set the seat down. And so I trained them to do that, and just keep working on it now. And here's another detail. I'm attaching these to this ground point where I've got a cable run from the front, and so I wanted them both on the same point. So I have this one set up to where it wants to be upside down, and this one set up to where it wants to be right side up, so that when I put them on here, they can stack and they won't interfere with each other. You see, that is what I was shooting for. Man, y'all realize how awesome this is? It's not raining. It's nighttime. I'm under the carport, and I'm outside doing bass stuff. It's so meditative. Like Buddhist. Anyway, I added a security there to secure those two wires to make sure they stay put. Of course, there's one there also. And just to keep things from moving around, because this piece of wire going from that capacitor down to that fuse, that's not fused. So I wanted to make sure if it comes loose, it's going to kind of stay where it's at. Same thing with that one. It's not fused on the other side, so I want it to stay put, and I made sure of that. Still got to put the Memphis in, run a power and ground for it, connect the remote wire to the Apocalypse amp on the output side, run it up to the Memphis, plug in the two RCAs over there. Basically, most of that's done except for the Memphis amp. I got to handle that cord, which I'm not sure about. I may have to chase it down and fix it. I'm not sure if it's messed up or not, but I got to test it. That goes to the subwoofer up front, supposedly. Everything over here is looking pretty good. I like the whole lightning bolt kind of a Z looking thing going on right there. And this is, you know, as good as it's going to get, given the what all is plugged in there. There's a lot of wires there. So overall, it's coming around. Coming around.